Hey everyone, Rusty McConnell from District 2. I'm going to give you a quick overview of what we're going to be talking tonight at our city council meeting. Remember, meeting is at 7:30 down at City Hall. Let me know if you have any questions or want to learn more about some of the topics either before or after the meeting. Happy to chat with you. Tonight we're starting off with two public hearings. So public hearings is your chance to go and let the council members know what your opinions are on a particular topic. So the two topics that are going to be discussed tonight, the first one is our wastewater treatment facility plan. So I had the ability to tour the treatment facility earlier this summer, and we have an amazing thing here going. We have a really run facility with great people in charge. But there's two challenges. The first of which is most of our equipment is well past its expected lifespan. The equipment is old and it is in desperate need of, in some cases, repair, in some cases, of replacement, which brings up to challenge two. Challenge two is that stuff is really expensive. So our department leaders there have done a really great job of coming up with a plan, a 20-year plan for how we're going to address capacity needs and sustainability. Now, like I said, it's really expensive, so this is going to be a pretty in-depth conversation, but it's going to start off with you letting us know what you think, what your opinions are on the topic. The second is our 2026 city budget. So the city council has been, over the course of the summer, in many meetings going over the budget, and we have finally come to our final proposal. So this is your chance to go and say, hey, this is how you think the city should be spending its money. Later on in the conversation tonight, we will actually vote on to adopt that budget or not. So there, the conversation will be around, do we agree with all the conversations that we've had so far, or do we need further changes? So some of the topics that we're going to be discussing tonight, one of them is which is our dog park. So the dog park has been in discussion for quite some time. We've done a round of fundraising. There are some funds available, and so the Parks Department has gone through. There was an original budget set, and unfortunately, it looks like the cost for the actual projects are going to be much larger than the original budget. So we're going to get delivered some options for what we can do now, and the council is going to discuss how we want to move forward there. I think a dog park would be a welcome addition to the city, but we want to make sure it's not at the burden of the taxpayers, and we want to make sure that not it's not an exorbitant cost because we know not everybody is going to use a dog park. There are a couple of contracts that we will look to either approve or not approve. These are typically pretty good conversations. So the one of them is going to be our building inspector contract. So who we use to do our building inspections, and then whoever the organization that does our biosolids hauling. So we'll get to hear from the department leaders about those, and they will make a recommendation as to the best way to move forward. All right, moving on down the agenda. There was a conversation in our last meeting about an ordinance update regarding weapons regulations and where you can and can't shoot weapons and things like that. And so really what we did is we wanted to try to change our existing ordinance to match that of the state to simplify things and clean things up. One of the aldermen last meeting wanted to make a couple red lines or changes to how the ordinance read. And so we're going to go through our second reading. And so this is kind of a fun procedural thing. Well, maybe not fun's the right word to describe it, but whenever we change an ordinance or a law, it has to go through two readings unless somebody waives that second reading. So what will happen is we say, okay, we want to approve this ordinance change or adopt a new ordinance, and it'll be the first reading. And then the very next reading, we're going to go through it again. And so that gives the council the ability to talk with constituents, understand the issues a little bit more, have a little bit more thought before we put something into law. And so what we're doing tonight is we are again going through the red lines, having a discussion, and either deciding to keep the changes that were talked about last week or say, hey, we were comfortable with how things were before. And so it's like I said, more so to align with what the state has in their ordinances. That's the reason behind that. And then finally, so this one is actually kind of short, is the final budget action. So, like I said, many conversations around the budget and how Commonwealth is going to spend taxpayer dollars. We've gone over very many meetings, like I said, and there's going to be public comment. So whoever shows up to the meeting, we're going to take those opinions into consideration as well. And then the final discussion tonight will be whether we adopt the 2026 budget as proposed, or if we need additional changes made. Um, as always, Meetings are live streamed. So if you can't make it in person, that's fine. We still want you to be informed. We want you to know what's going on. You can live stream. It's on YouTube. Just go to the city YouTube page. You'll be able to find it there. I'll put a link in the video here. And like I said, if you have any questions or want to learn more, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll try to do a recap after this meeting. This one's a pretty simple meeting. I know there's some pretty big ticket items, but a lot of work has already gone into those items. So this one should be relatively painless, I would think, but I've said that before and I could be wrong. But looking forward to it. Hope to hear from you. We'll see you there.